time aboard. This is the Miles to Go podcast. And now here's your host, Ed Pizza.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Miles to Go podcast. Mr. Kerr is making googly eyes at me as we get started this week. We are both at home, but by the time this episode launches, I will have been to, wait for it, London, Luxembourg, Vienna, Paris, Copenhagen. One of the people that I was with said we're going to Munich. I don't actually remember that that's a segment on our itinerary, but apparently we're going to Munich as well. And then I'm meeting Richard in the Faroe Islands.
You are not. I have a 7-year-old birthday party to go to by the name of Miss Mary Kerr, aka my daughter. So I got to sit this one out, man, even though I tried to see how to make it work. But here's the kicker. I'm not allowed to go to the birthday party. It is girls only. And I was like,
wait, what?
My assumption was that meant like the little friends all have to be girls. And she was like, no, Daddy, no boys at all. So my dad, Thomas, and I are kicked out of the house during the birthday party that I stayed in town for to go play golf. She is adamant that it's mommies and girls only. And I was like, okay, well.
Gotcha.
Fine, we'll go play golf. But my parents are coming to town, so I cannot scoot off to the Faroe Islands, despite how much that sounds absolutely lovely.
It should be fun. And we were talking about a little bit of the bits and pieces, and I'll tell more about this when we get back, but just the fact that it's like ridiculously cheap for a quick helicopter ride and going to get to see puffins and all that. So lots of stories that I'll be able to tell next week after I'm utterly exhausted from all the hops around at different airports, which sounded such a good idea when I booked it all. And now I'm just like, wait, what am I sleeping?
I believe my exact quote was, "Who hurt you?"
Yes, you hurt me, Richard. You.
Because I was like, yeah, if I come, I'm not doing any of that. I'll meet y'all in Copenhagen.
Yep, pretty much.
I'm not doing any of that.
We are powered by NordVPN again this week, and we'll have a little bit of a brief update on that a little bit later in the show. If you guys are just tuning in, you can text us or send us a voicemail at 571-293-6659. He is at Kerpoints on all the social media channels, and I am at Pizza in Motion. And if you want to go old school, you can email ed@pizzainmotion.com. And what will probably be the last time you and I ever talk threads.
I was about to say, if you want to really go old school, you can send us a thread.
I saw something interesting, and now I don't know what to make of it. So have you looked at your Instagram profile since you signed up for Threads?
I have, but I don't think I've noticed anything.
Yeah, so they added below your name. It now says for me at like the little Threads logo 67,739,834, which I assume is the number of which I signed up for. So now you can tell how excited somebody was to sign up for Threads based on how small their number is.
Is 767 good or bad?
It's a decent plane. That's not a good plane. United.
I hadn't noticed this. I'm 23 million something, but I think here live on the podcast. By live, I mean. For those of you watching on the video podcast, you can watch this. For those of you listening, it's not live at all. I am deleting the Threads app from my phone as we speak. Remove app, delete. It's gone. I will never see Threads again. Right there, live on the Miles to Go podcast. Sorry, Mark.
And the good news is that your Threads account is not gone. It's still there for you. It's still there for you for forever and ever.
But whatever nefarious data collection things that app was doing is no longer doing on my phone. So there you go.
This is very true. So let's see, what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk a little bit about a new Hyatt change that's a positive. American has some new routes to announce. Amex Platinum has done some things that are not exactly positive for that card. And I have good things to say about Marriott, which is something that folks generally criticize us for.
Oh, and I got to spring one on. We absolutely did not talk about this, but we're going to talk about the best deal in baseball. That's what we're going to talk. We're going to talk about the best deal in baseball.
Kerr is really good at this, setting it up. Like, he
go.
always tells me I'm the one out of left field, and then just keep adding the topics over.
Was that a baseball pun? Out of left field? I like it. There you go. Best deal in baseball out of left field.
As long as we're not going to talk about how bad my Yankees are playing, I think I'll be okay.
I might
start getting there. You might get censored. Yeah, you might get censored.
I sent Ed memes this morning to make him upset about how bad the Yankees are doing.
Listener alert: if later in the show we don't end up talking about Mr. Kerr's thoughts on the Braves and the Yankees, it will be because I took judicious decision making into my own hands and cut that part of the episode. So there you go.
Yeah, but no, this has nothing to do with that. This is actually the best deal in baseball.
Got it. All right.
Yeah.
I can't wait. But let's not start there. Unless you want to start there. Do you want to start there?
Let's not start there. You got to listen to the end, ladies and gentlemen, the best deal in baseball.
Oh, all the way to the end. Okay, so let's talk. I'm going to touch on the Marriott thing real quick because I thought it was interesting. So I stayed at the Cosmopolitan in Vegas this week for a very short one-night stay, and I really like the rooms at Cosmopolitan. There are a few things about it that are fairly unique for Vegas. The bathrooms in the 1-bedroom terrace suites are really, really nice. The finishes are nice. You could have a meeting in the living room part of the room. They have a lot of balconies, which is a rarity in Vegas. But the rates are usually pretty high. So I'm a value guy. I'm not going to spend, $400 a night for a hotel room in Vegas when I can get a room for $120 a night. Well, it was dirt cheap in Vegas this week. It's the summertime, things were slow, and so I booked. And I'm a Marriott Titanium Elite, and I gotta be honest, man. Like the treatment as a Marriott Titanium Elite at the property was better than I was expecting. I got a text, and some of this I didn't know. Like I probably should know, but I don't go. I don't stay there very often. So this happened at some point, and I wasn't aware of it. There is a dedicated check-in line for Marriott Elites. It starts with gold status. There was nobody in that line, so I hopped in. It was checked in super quickly. But apparently, what I missed is there's a lounge off the side of the lobby called the Autograph Lounge, and Titanium Elites have access to it, which was pretty awesome. Nice thing because you can check in there, so you can bypass the massive check-in lines by doing that. And they don't have self check-in at Cosmopolitan, so that was a nice plus. They also sent me a text right after I checked in to let me know that I could choose between the bonus points or the food and beverage credit. And I was prompted for whether I wanted a late checkout, offered it right up. On top of all that, I was upgraded to an incredible room. I was upgraded to what they call a wraparound terrace room. This room was massive, and the balcony was massive. I mean, linear feet, the balcony was like 200 feet of balcony on the Vegas Strip, overlooking I should have done the background. I should have done the fountains as a background. I was overlooking the Bellagio fountain show. It was great. I was really, really impressed. And, I got it because I was a Marriott Titanium Elite. So on this very short stay, they took really good care of me as a Marriott Elite at Cosmopolitan.
Forgive my ignorance, but isn't this ending soon? The Marriott Cosmopolitan?
No, because MGM bought Cosmopolitan. MGM owns Cosmopolitan. So technically right now there was the identity program for like a hot minute, but MGM owns Cosmopolitan. So maybe I'm wrong about this, but I would imagine it's getting folded in.
Maybe before they bought them, it was leaving. I definitely heard something.
It was. It was leaving. It absolutely was leaving.
Okay.
Yeah, but now it's a
Is it possible to double dip?
What do you mean?
Both the Cosmo and the Marriott program?
I don't think so.
Okay. All the Vegas nerds listening to this are yelling at their speakers right now because they know a lot that we don't know about this.
A lot more, yeah. And this is definitely emerging because all this has happened in the past 5 weeks, 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, to be clear, the Cosmopolitan sale was a while ago. I think that was even last year.
Quick Google tells me that it was last year.
Okay, yeah. And so and so they sort of rolled out their new program. I think it's called Identity. So I'm guessing Identity is around to stay, but you've also got all these Marriott benefits that, quite frankly, at a low occupancy time, I would not expect to get upgraded at a casino property. It just wouldn't. If they needed to bump me up because they're sold out of regular rooms, absolutely, but I didn't expect that upgrade.
Casino.org, reputable site or not, I have no idea, says Cosmopolitan will switch its Identity Loyalty Club to MGM Rewards on February 1st, 2024. So
there you go.
If you believe casino.org, it has .org, then maybe you should believe them. I have no idea.
If only we had Michael Traeger here, he would tell us.
He's one of the people yelling at the speakers right now. That's where I absorb all this stuff. I've sat through a few of his conferences and the other Vegas people and some of the other Points and Miles podcasts who are legit Vegas experts. I try and absorb some of this, but again, I just don't go to Vegas enough to pay that much attention.
For sure. And I think, now's a great time to give a little bit of a plug to Michael as well, because if you are a bit of a casino nerd, he has Zorkfest coming up on October 13th up in Lake Tahoe. I don't think I'm going to be able to go because of track meet conflicts, but I was at Zorkfest. Actually, wait. That's the second place you and I met in person. But the first time I actually realized I was meeting you, because as you like to point out, I met you at the happy hour when you were a points jock. But the first place I interviewed you for this up and coming podcast called Miles to Go, you were on episode 5.
Yeah, something like that. I forgot about the first time we met because I when you said that I was like, yeah, no, it's not. No, ladies and gentlemen, I went to a happy hour in DC that you co-hosted in the door and introduced myself. You said, hey, how's it going? And then you immediately started talking to somebody else, and I never spoke to you again the rest of the night. I was like,
how'd that work out for me? Here I am stuck with you now every damn week.
That's just proof that I'm an acquired taste. That's what
Yeah, that's one way to say it.
yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, we recorded, I'll have to go back and look and see what episode number it was, but we recorded at Treasure Island. And I think the hilarious part about that was we were in like this side area of the conference wing. And if you remember, they had those windows that were open to the pool.
I remember.
And let me tell you, the humanity at the Treasure Island pool is something to behold.
I
And
remember you had to like edit some of my comments out of that episode.
I did. I did have to. Yes. Yes. There were definitely some inappropriate content. But in talking about, Michael, you guys should, I'll include a link to it in the show notes. I told him that I was going to write something about it and I haven't had time to do it yet. But early bird pricing expires at the end of August for Zorkfest. It's a couple of days up in Lake Tahoe, and it should be a really fun event. I actually have a really good speaker list. Our buddy Gilbert from God Save the Points is going to be speaking there. And Gary Leff, View from the Wing, is also on the docket. So a lot of good names up there that are not just casino focused, that are also travel focused. And Traeger definitely knows how to throw a good party. He's also been a frequent guest in our Slack community and a frequent contributor there. So shameless plug for folks who want to sign up to the Slack community and support the show. You will also find links to that there. So yeah, I would absolutely stay at Cosmo again, knowing I get these benefits and the chance at an upgrade. I still struggle with how much they charge for rooms, and God bless them, glad they can get that rate. But I really enjoyed my stay. I love the restaurants there. A lot of great restaurants. In fact, you remember the place that you and I ate there, Zuma?
Tasty. Very tasty.
Yeah, there's Zuma, Haleo. There's a bunch of great restaurants. And my favorite speakeasy is there, the Ski Lodge, which I have to take you to next time so you can see the abominable snowman propose to one of the waitresses.
We are very behind on a Vegas trip.
Been 4 years. What are you waiting for, man?
Waiting for our very empty calendars to remain empty for this to occur. Oh wait, they're never empty.
I don't know if you know this. My calendar doesn't need to be empty to go to Vegas. I do that like every 2 weeks, so it's really just on you.
I know it's
You
just justifying. Yeah, I'm in New York this week, Mrs. Kerr, and next week I'm partying with Ed in Vegas. So you have fun.
Right, there you go. See, just like that. Maybe don't say party. Say you're meeting me. So we're talking business.
Yeah,
She'll believe that, right?
Significant business dealings to occur at 3 a.m. in Vegas.
Yeah. Yep. There you go. Yeah, and she doesn't listen to the podcast, so she won't know that we've strategized on this. It should be perfect.
She surprises me. I would say once every 6 months, she's like, "So I listened to this thing on the podcast, and you said this thing," and I'm like, "What? You listen to the podcast?"
My wife said she's going to start listening once we put it on the video, which she hasn't. But as she said about our producer Jeremiah last week, she loves listening to the cold opens, mostly because Jeremiah does a good job making me sound like a moron.
To be fair, that's not hard.
She'll listen to the show if I'm there beside her. Yeah, I know it's not hard. So before we talk American and American Express, let's touch a quick bit on NordVPN, who is our sponsor again this week. I have been catching up on my Tour de France coverage. I expect to do so on my Faroe Islands trip. I hope by the time I'm back that I'll be caught up. But we talked a bit about this last week. Benefits for using a VPN, definitely security for sure. We've had some luck with sporting events. Richard will talk a little bit about his experience, and we've just started to fiddle around with this ability to set where you are in terms of purchasing airline tickets. So not a ton to report on there, but in theory could be useful for airlines that charge different prices based on what your country of residence or country of origin is at the time of purchasing the ticket. Richard, you have a positive experience. I can't believe I'm talking about your Braves right after they swept the Yankees. But here we are talking about you being able to watch your Braves because of NordVPN. Yeah,
so if you're familiar with how Major League Baseball does their TV contracts, they've made it incredibly difficult for local fans to watch their home teams, which is really amazing, and I think it's going to change here imminently, hopefully after this season. But if you live in Atlanta and you want to watch the Atlanta Braves online, you can't do it because you're blacked out. So the only way to do it is to subscribe to a local cable network and then pay the additional fee they charge for the regional sports network and then watch it on regular cable. And I don't know very many people that have regular cable anymore. So what we've had to do this year in order for us to watch the Braves games is use a VPN installed on my work computer that puts me back in New York City for security reasons. And luckily then my laptop thinks I am in New York City and we can watch Braves games. That obviously doesn't work when I'm out of town and my son Thomas, who's a huge Braves fan, really wants to watch the game. He can't do it. It's a big bummer. Or the other times where I'm having to work during the Braves game or something and don't really want to use my work computer for that. It's kind of deal. So long story short, I installed NordVPN on Emily's laptop this week, turned that service on, and now Thomas can watch Braves games anytime he wants right here at the house. So huge use there. And it's going to be great because now we got the Braves not on a work computer for the rest of the season.
And potentially headed to the playoffs and potentially the World Series again, although the Yankees won't be there. You'll see, you guys will find a link in the show notes to download NordVPN. There's currently a 50% discount on an annual mobile plan right now. And that's what I'm going to be using while I am in, wait for it, Luxembourg, Paris, Vienna, and the Faroe Islands
I
over
think
the
what you
course of the
mean to
next
say
week.
is when you're in pain. Yes.
Yes, when I'm in pain. And hopefully by the time I get back, I will know who won the Tour de France. So you pick. You want to go American Airlines with the new routes, or you want to talk about American Express Platinum changes? You drive,
Yeah.
Mr. Kerr.
We woke up to news across the Christmas lights across the Instagram profiles blowing up this morning with news of the American Express Platinum card changes. Anytime I click through all the stories and they're all talking about the same thing, I'm like, oh, here we go. What happened here? So it appears that 3 changes occurred with the American Express. This is the personal platinum card that we were talking about today.
Mhm.
The first is the annual fee has tripled. No, I'm just kidding. They left the annual fee alone. However,
It kind of has.
the annual fee for authorized users is going up. So it used to be $175 for the first 3 cards. So that's like you pay $175 and you can get 3 authorized cards. Now it's going up to $195 per card, if I'm doing my remembering here correctly. So that's a
Mhm.
big bummer. If you were like a family that, paid those authorized users and you could get your wife or significant other or spouse into the lounge, then now it's going to cost you $195 per person for that year. The second is the minimum spend to get the standard welcome offer is going from $6,000 to $8,000. So I think it's 80,000 points after $8,000 to spend now. And then the third change is some of the entertainment credits. They're getting rid of Audible and they're adding the Wall Street Journal. So I think some people used Audible. I know like my wife really likes Audible. So that would be cool to get that for free. But the majority of the attention seems to be on these authorized user cards going up. Is this, Ed, another solution to getting rid of the overcrowded lounges?
I mean, it almost has to be part of that formula for sure. I don't know if it solves it per se because there's just so many people with an American Express Platinum card out there. So I, I would say, so I have the American Express Business Platinum. I don't currently have the personal version of the Platinum card. $195 per authorized user for a card that wouldn't be my first choice of cards to put spending on. You have to visit a lounge fairly frequently. I'm trying to think what other benefits you might be able to use. I guess maybe like car rental status, something like that. But like, there's just not a ton of value in the authorized user card other than the lounges, in my opinion. Is that
Yeah.
fair to say?
Yeah. I think you're paying $200 a year for lounge access.
Right. And so, like, when I think of authorized user, I think of, to your point, it's like, well, I have a card and I get one for my wife. And so, how many times is my wife going to travel without me? Am I hitting the spend threshold of 75,000 to get lounge access for more than just me? So, like, there's a bunch of factors there. Like, you could spend 75,000 on the card and then just bring your significant other in. I'm not say just. I know 75,000 is a lot of cash, but I mean versus spending $195 in actual cash to have an authorized user card. So, I think where it potentially helps lounge access for people who like maybe had 2 or 3 folks that they shared cards with. Maybe they used the card for their small business, but it was a personal card, and so there's some thinning of the herd there. But I don't think it's going to be massive because I think the $75,000 hurdle already thinned a decent chunk of this herd anyway.
Yeah. I don't know. I was reading a few articles today and I also carry the business platinum cards. 2 things I took away from this. One is this just, again, I think the business platinum card is far superior to the personal platinum card. I just really do. Number one, because of the 35% pay with points rebate. I just use it all the time for paid Delta flights. I mean, it's such a huge benefit for my family. But the second is, man, since I haven't had the personal card and just had the business platinum for 2 years, it's been a couple years, like reading through some of these articles and just trying to keep up with how many things. It's like the world's most expensive coupon book is really what the personal platinum has become. And the business platinum to some degree does have that. But man, like I forgot about like the Walmart Plus, like, and the Uber Eats, but it's only monthly and then it's 3 times as much in December. Like I just don't have time. And that's exactly what American Express is counting on, that the breakage on all of this stuff is going to be great. And then I see the people, if you're listening, like, again, you love the personal platinum card, 5X on airfare is great. That's cool.
To me, that was the thing I was gonna say. Like, that's the big benefit if you want to, like, because I have the business platinum card, and the 5X is only if you book tickets through Amex's portal.
Yeah.
Where on the personal card, you get 5X for all airline tickets.
But if I got to write 3 paragraphs and list the 14 different benefits that I would never use if I didn't pay this annual fee anyways to justify the value, like it's just too much, man. So, yeah, I just or business platinum. It just again solidifies that I'm happy with the business platinum. I don't see any time in the near future I would go back to a personal platinum card. Even though the Centurion Lounge in Atlanta is opening up next year, that construction is actually coming along very. I see they're in the econ course at ATL, and I thought like, great, like Emily actually the one thing she gets excited about is Centurion Lounges. I don't know how I'm going to get her in there because she doesn't have. And she's now not going to have an authorized user card. I mean, not that I have personal platinum anyways, but something I've been thinking about. But I'm not putting $75,000 of spend on a business platinum either in order to get her in the lounge twice a year. So,
Yeah, let me ask you a question. And I know we don't talk about these numbers much, but just trying to do some math here on the fly. What would you roughly say a membership rewards point is worth to you in cents per point?
oh man, that's I'll call it 1.5 cents.
Fair enough. And
Oh,
and what do you think, what do you think the average person would put on a card for airline tickets in the course of a year if they're not doing business travel? 2,500?
maybe, yeah.
So if I take 2,500 and I multiply it by 5 to get 12,500 miles that I earn, actually it wouldn't be 5 because you have 4 bonus points. So that'd be 10,000 extra miles. That person's going to get, should be able to do this math in my head, but I'm too old. $150 worth of Amex membership rewards points. So I think if you were using this card for business purposes to get the 5X, and you could split, let's see, the fee on that card now is $6.95. So you probably need to be somewhere in the range of, 4X. So you probably need to be putting, call it $5,000 to $7,000 in airfare on that card on a yearly basis to make it worth your while to have it.
Yeah, which
somewhere
is
in that range.
I mean, I imagine a lot of people do that, but I think
Sure.
what is it like? I've read the stats, and that would actually be. I mean, you could read some actual industry reports about. It's like 75% of the people on the plane with you will travel once a year. Like that's their only round trip flight for the year. Like
Right,
it's just
it's crazy.
most people do not fly that much, which you forget about when you're in the airport and you talk amongst our circle of road warriors. You're like, flying once a year? No, everybody. Like, no, they don't. Again, the litmus test for me is talking to everybody at the playground here in suburban Georgia. And I would say that's 100% accurate. The vast majority of the people that I interact with maybe fly once a year on a round trip ticket.
Yeah. All right, so let's close by talking about these new American Airlines routes. Some of these are actually, I would say all of them are appealing to me, other than the fact that I don't really want to go to Dallas to get somewhere. But so they're announcing 5 routes, and these are looking like the exciting destinations for, call it, the summer travel season, if you will. So you've got 3 flights out of Philly, 1 flight out of Chicago, 1 flight out of Dallas. Out of Philly, all on 787s. They're going to be servicing Copenhagen, Nice, and Naples. Chicago gets Chicago to Venice service, which I feel like they had at one point, but maybe it was United that had it. And then Dallas to Barcelona. So I've been to all of these destinations except for Nice. Love all of them. And Philadelphia is a very convenient airport for me. So this, especially with the number of premium seats that you have on these wide bodies, this represents a lot of extra seats going to places people really want to go, right?
Yeah, everybody in New York has been talking about Nice. I have so many coworkers going to Nice, and Nice, like Nice, just comes up so much right now. Don't know why it's so popular, but it really is. So as soon as I saw this, I was like, okay, like they're obviously picked up on that same demand to that city. I'm just really curious, like, what is American going to charge for these routes? Like, I mean, it'd be great, Philly to Nice nonstop, because I think otherwise New York's the only other nonstop Nice service that the U.S. has.
Is it Newark to Nice? Is that what the route is?
No, Delta actually flies JFK to Nice. Maybe United does it as well. I guess I'd be surprised if it didn't. But how many miles in the new American pricing scheme are they going to charge for these probably really high demand flights? Because I would love to fly to Copenhagen nonstop.
Hold on, let me get the spinning wheel to tell you how much.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot. There are other interesting. I mean, these are all like cool, but there's nothing like there's no. I think flagship route is what I read, and like there was no like Cape Town or something really cool and off the wall and interesting out of these. Super nice. But they're really doubling down on Philly. This is right on the back of switching the Doha flight from JFK over to Philly. So I just think like the amount of connecting traffic and feeder traffic that American has going into Philly now and kind of tripling down with 3 new routes. It's really interesting to see. I don't find for the Philadelphia airport a particularly enjoyable experience, but I guess it doesn't really matter. So what it's going to come down to me is, when these load, I think August 20th is when they're going to be loaded in the schedule. So by the time you listen to this, they'll be available. Go check out and see how many miles it's going to cost to fly to Nice, Venice, Copenhagen, or Naples.
Yeah, and just as a quick update, I just checked Flighty, and they did Flighty confirms that there is a nonstop service between Newark and Nice. It's an evening 8 p.m. departure on United, and it looks like it's currently operated by a 763 That is a very old plane. Yeah, I mean, so whenever I see new route announcements, the first thought in my head is always, is there an opportunity here? And so, like, from my standpoint, when I see these, it's, hey, if there's not enough demand early on, as these routes roll out, these are routes that I would keep an eye on for potential award availability if they don't fill the, first portion of whatever the schedule is. To Richard's point, American has obviously made a bunch of changes that might make that less likely now. But I'd still think that anytime we see new route announcements like this, especially in places where they're moving essentially a wide body's worth of capacity, they're routes to keep an eye on for the first few months just to see if maybe you find some better availability. Lastly, Hyatt rolled out a new option called, or not a new option, but they added options to their Pay My Way payment preferences. And I think the biggest plus here is avoiding this frustration pain point of trying to redeem certificates for award stays. If you had different classes of award certificates before, the category 1 to 4 certificate versus a category 1 to 7 certificate, it was impossible to book that online. If you had both in your account and pick the right one, you had to call, and it was a bit of a pain in the butt. And they've really, they've really done a good job cleaning this up, in my opinion.
Yeah. My bigger fear was always if it was a family trip, you book the first reservation with a free night cert, and the next nights are with points. They're going to make you check in, check out. You're going to have to switch rooms.
Right.
This all makes it very seamless. So I'm a huge fan of this. It's great technology.
Yep. Yeah, I fiddled around with it with some test bookings, and everything seems to work okay. I can't wait to try it on a real booking. So hopefully, I do have some free nights in my account, so hopefully I'll be able to book something soon and report back on if it works, as intended.
Yeah. Should we conclude with the best deal in baseball?
What? The best deal in baseball?
The best deal in baseball.
Right here on the Travel and Comedy podcast, we're going to talk baseball.
And no, this is not the Capital One miles for baseball tickets, even though those are incredibly limited and I've never seen one. I think they come out, like the day they come out, one of the bloggers picks it up, writes about it, and they're all gone. What I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen, is I went to the Braves game last night, the Yankees-Braves, with my son Thomas, and once again reminded myself of the best deal in baseball. So Truist Park is the newish, now I think 5 years old, stadium that's not in Atlanta whatsoever. So if you come to Atlanta for a Braves game, you're going to find that you have to go way outside of Atlanta to check out the new stadium. It is right at the intersection of two of the busiest roads in America. That's Interstate 75 and Interstate 285. That never slows down. It's a bit of a madhouse. What has happened there is there are several hotels around the stadium, none of which are particularly convenient if you have to cross one of the massive roads. The other thing
finally know where we're going.
Yeah. You're like, okay, we're going. The other thing the Braves has done is they have parking lots, but no joke. If you go to the Braves website and you select like one of their like north or east lots, you will walk approximately a mile from your parking lot over Interstate 285, which is 8 lanes in each direction. I'm not kidding. You can look it up on Google Maps. Then you go over this elevated pedestrian bridge, and about 30 minutes later, you get to the stadium. Or you can pay 8,000 Hyatt points per night to stay at the Hyatt Place Cobb Galleria, which is a shorter walk than the Braves official parking lot. There is free parking if you're staying there. Obviously, free breakfast at a Hyatt Place. And it's only 8,000 points. And like I've redeemed points there just to go and park there so that I don't have to mess with all the ridiculousness there. So it's great. Redeemed 8,000 points. You get there early. You can park. You walk over to the stadium. Thomas caught a batting practice ball from the Yankees yesterday. Couldn't believe it. Been trying to do that my whole life. You can drink some beers because you don't have to drive home after the game. You can just walk back. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Hyatt Place Cobb Galleria, 8,000 if you're going to see an Atlanta Braves game. And that really is the best deal in sports, because with the Yankees in town last night, all of the hotels around the stadium, man, if they weren't sold out, they were going for $450 to like the Aloft, which is very close to the park. Like you walk out the Aloft doors and you're like basically at the back door of the stadium. It was like $659 for a standard room last night. And of course there's no points availability. So there you go. 8,000 Hyatt points is the best deal in baseball.
I like it. Well, except for the current
losing
streak the Yankees are on. Oh my God, 2 shutouts in a row. It's just brutal. Absolutely brutal. It's a very depressing season, my friend. Very depressing season.
There's always next year.
Yep, I hear you.
And the Hyatt Place will still be there.
Well, it has to be 3 years before I come visit you to watch the Yankees play the Braves again in the rotation. So pencil me in for 2026.
There you go.
Perfect. All right, man. You got any travel coming up in New York?
I will be in New York in September. I am trying to stay south for the rest of August. We've got soccer starting. We've got baseball. We've got the birthday party. We've got a few other local events. So it is. I got my feet planted on the ground for the next little bit.
Gotcha. I have my feet planted firmly on an airplane floor for the next handful of days.
You can have your back planted to the chiropractor too.
But think of all the things I get to review when we come back. You get to ask me all kinds of questions about all these fun things. Like, why the heck would you do that, Ed? Over and over and over again. Well, big thanks to NordVPN for sponsoring us again this week. And thanks for them for helping me get caught up on the Tour de France while I am overseas. I will be Instagramming and tweeting and all that fun stuff while I'm gone. But I can't wait to be back here with Mr. Kerr talking about all the fun stuff that we got to experience. Only wish you were going to be there with me, my friend.
Next time. There's always next time. There's not always next time, ladies and gentlemen. That's terrible. It's terrible advice. Go live life now. There's not always next time.
Well, we'll always have Treasure Island, but until we upload again, we've got miles to go.